So what does it mean when you're working with a fiduciary advisor versus someone who's not a fiduciary advisor? We already covered what it means to work with a registered representative, where I've shared that I know several really talented and really moral registered representatives who do not have the licenses, or just maybe they do but don't have the structure of their firm to have fiduciary relationships with their clients. Instead, they are more product focused, and I've shared already, when you're a registered representative, you just have to make sure that you did the best job you could of making sure that the product that you offered to the client was appropriate at the time that the recommendation was made. So let's say, for example, that you have a financial advisor who has a young client who's 30 years old, just got married, and they're making $75,000 a year. And maybe they have a child that's on the way, and they're hoping to make sure that that $75,000 of income is replaced for anything that the family may need in the event of that client's death. Well, if you're a registered representative, you might sign up that person for, say, a 20-year, $1.5 million term policy. And you walk them through the process of explaining to them how they would use those funds in the event of the client's death to make sure that the family's okay. That sale is made, the client gets their term policy, the advisor gets a commission from the insurance company, which does not come from the client's money. The clients go on their way. There is no extension of that relationship beyond the point of sale, but maybe 10 years later, that same client has now seen their income double. So now they're making $150,000, and maybe they have another child. So now they have two children, a significantly higher salary, significantly higher responsibilities, and they unfortunately pass away prematurely, and the family now realizes that while they now need to replace $150,000 of income, they only have a life insurance policy that will replace $75,000, and they decide to take that registered representative to court because they made a quote-unquote bad recommendation. Well, in that scenario, the standard to which the registered representative is held said, hey, at the time that I made this recommendation, this person was only making $75,000. They had just got married. They only had one child. I got paid maybe $600 in commissions from that policy 10 years ago. It's not a reasonable expectation for me to be working with these clients every single year because I made $600 10 years ago. Now let's shift that to a fiduciary relationship, which can operate in a fee-based advisor environment or a fee-only advisor environment. When you have a fiduciary relationship, one of the first things that it does is that it gives you a defined scope of engagement. And to me, one of the most important elements of that scope of engagement is the length of the relationship. So for example, in our case, we have annual agreements. We re-up them every single year for clients who are interested. And that says that throughout the course of this next year, they are engaged in a fiduciary relationship with Brenton Harrison and his firm, New Money, New Problems. Now, in this scenario, what this means is that as long as I'm in a fiduciary relationship with these clients, and we have clients that we've worked with for over a decade, if I sold them that term policy in the first year when they were making $75,000, and 10 years later they're still working with me and they're making $150,000 with two children and more responsibilities, I have the obligation of meeting with them at least one time per year to go over all of their finances. Remember, that's the duty of care, to make sure that that term policy that I offered them in year one is continuously appropriate for as long as I have that fiduciary engagement.